So dare to do the things that scare you. Only those who dare to fail greatly can ever achieve greatly. And dare to take chances, follow your dreams, risk it all, fall in love, believe in yourself, ask questions, let go, make mistakes, start over, speak the truth, take responsibility. Hi, this is Nilofer, and you're tuned into the Genius Activator podcast. My name is Nilofer Safdar, best-selling author, virtual summit host, coach, healer, facilitator. And I'm here to help you discover your own inner genius and live your whole life in the boundless realm of your genius. And today's guest is Christine Campbell Rapin, a business success coach and a lifestyle strategist. I got that correctly. I was kind of tripping over.
You are awesome.
And she's the founder of the online community, Chasing Dreams and Making a Positive Impact. I love it. Love that name. She coaches, mentors, and consults business owners who are struggling to transition from buying a job to running a thriving business without driving themselves into the ground for little or no profit. If you are ready to move beyond theory and ideas towards creating actionable strategies that build confidence and deliver results, the time is now for action. Welcome to the show, Christine. I'm so happy to have you.
I'm so excited to be here. Super. This is going to be so much fun.
I know. You there in New York and me in Abu Dhabi. And what time is it in the morning there?
Really early. That's why I have extra lights on today.
Most of the time, I'm the one who's waking up in the middle of the night to be on calls with people from the US. So it kind of feels a little bit good to have some
enjoy it, because you know what? I didn't hesitate to say yes when you said, I looked at your schedule and went, all of those are really early. Okay, which day of really early works? That's an important thing when you want to run a global business. You don't have to work 24/7, but you do need to choose choicefully. Yeah, that's a good opportunity. It's worth my time. I will get up early or stay up late. It happens.
Absolutely. So Christine, we're talking all about genius and all about activating your inner genius. And I know that you do a lot of work in this arena. So how did you discover your inner genius?
You know, it's interesting. I think sometimes we don't see the dominoes fall in our own storyline until either we look back, that's why Vision's 2020, or other people see it in us. And it's funny because I had a pretty recent realization that just was like, how did I not see this? But when I was really young, I knew I would be an entrepreneur, which is a little unusual for most of the people that I work with or I mentor. Many are accidental or aspiring entrepreneurs, but I knew from a young age I would do this. I had no idea what it would look like. And that's what kept me hesitating, interestingly enough. But when I went back and thought, what did I want to be as a business owner when I was young? It was I wanted to be a corporate raider. What I wanted specifically was to be able to go in to struggling companies, turn them around and make them successful. And interestingly enough, it's just dawned on me like in the last month, that's exactly what I do. I go in and help struggling entrepreneurs turn it around so they can be more successful. And the interesting thing was I never set out to be a coach. I knew I would do my own thing. And I started my first business 5 years ago, but it was in that journey of the first business, which I started really randomly. I didn't get out of bed on the Wednesday thinking I would be a business owner. And by Friday I had said yes, but I could see possibility. And it was somebody else in my community of entrepreneurs who said, you seem to have this figured out. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? She's like, you spend 1 hour a day building your business and I know it's growing. I have spent way more than 1 hour a week in my business and I'm constantly struggling. So what are you doing? And I was like, well, I treat it like a business. And she's like, everybody says that. Just treat your business like a business and you will have a business. And I have no idea what that means. And obviously you do. So could you tell me, teach me, show me? And I'm like, sure. You know, I just wanted to give kindly to a friend and someone I was seeing struggle. And then she's like, I've now got 5 friends who want you to do this. Would you run a workshop? And I was like, ding, there's a light bulb that's going off. I have a skill here that I didn't know wasn't common. And I could help a lot of people and make a big impact by doing that. And every day when I'm in it, it's not effortless, but it's easy in its effort because I love making impact. And that's how I discovered it. It wasn't like I set up to do that. And then I look back, I go, wow, all those dominoes were there. I just couldn't see the forest for the trees. And that's how I actually found my zone of genius. Was I was in it, not knowing I was in it, until other people said, gee, you're really good at that. And I was like, could I do a business around that? And I thought, wow, I really could. Nobody gave me permission. Nobody told me this is what it would look like. I had to just figure it out. And yet,
And
when you're in flow.
Yeah,
you don't know how to get out of it or in it, but you know when you're in it.
exactly. And also that, how do you define effort?
It's interesting. I talk a lot about it. Sort of one of my favorite things. It's right on my homepage of my website. It's, what are the 3 myths of what it will take to run a business? And one of them we talk about, is it hard work? Because a lot of people think, it must be hard. And everyone sort of really subscribes to that. If you don't put in the hard, did you really make it? I think it's absurd. Let's just be clear. It's absurd. But you know that because you know people in your life who work really hard and aren't successful. And so what I really shifted to me was focus on effort. And that's being intentional on the right things that move the needle. And I will tell you, they're probably the things that scare you. Because one of my favorite quotes is sort of where chasing dreams and making a positive impact comes from, is I have a Post-it note that, or a visual on my desk that says, life happens outside your comfort zone. And people often say, go do what you love. And I heard a great thing recently, it sort of really caught my ear, which was, that's the worst business advice I've ever heard. I have another piece that I think is the worst business advice, but that was the one that they were commenting on. Because if you just do what you love, you are always in your comfort zone. And I was like, intriguing. And I could see some of that, because to grow effort means you step outside your comfort zone. And I challenge myself in life, not just in my business, but all of my life. That's why I've lived and done so many things, to step outside my comfort zone. And it means there's some level of friction. I strive for harmony in my life, but there's some level of friction of, ooh, this feels weird. I might not do great at this. I have to embrace the suck, because I don't get great the first time I do something. But I also will never get great at something if I just think about it and don't do it. So go do it. Go do it.
I love it. I love it. So what is something that you would tell people to do to step outside their comfort zone? Obviously, we all know what is outside our comfort zone, but when you are coaching people, what are some of the things you challenge your clients to do, which push them out of their comfort zone?
I start with a really scary question. What do you want out of your life? That's sort of a mic drop moment, but I always say, what do you actually want out of your life? And I have a great resource. It's a free one. You can download it on my homepage of the website, which is my name. I will tell you, this is the thing. The first step outside your comfort zone is to recognize that living by somebody else's definition of success is probably why you're feeling stuck, small, questioning, is this all there is? And I thought I was made for more. Because so often, it doesn't matter which culture you live in or where you are around the world, we live with cultural expectations and definitions of what life should look like. In my case, it was, grow up, get a good education, get married, have 2.4 kids and a pet, work for 70 years, live for weekends, holidays, we didn't used to be international travel, and sort of now in the world, they're not international travel, and then retire with a gold watch. Like, that's still my parents' expectation for me. I didn't quite live it, or I didn't live it in the order they wanted, but I also had to recognize I didn't necessarily always want that. And then the bigger question came is, what did I want? And so often we get really clear, I know what I don't want, that we're scared to spend the time thinking, what do I do want? Because the interesting thing is, when you get clear on what you do want, that's your zone of genius, and everything becomes possible, but you must go for it. And that's why we often don't want to figure out what it is, because if we know what it is, we kind of feel this obligation, this pressure of effort to go do something with that. And I started with 10 questions. Every time I reinvented myself, who I was in my 20s is not who I am now. And I know that it's probably not who I'll be in 10 years. I want different things. And I am not just one thing. I'm not just daughter, wife, corporate woman, entrepreneur, sister, friend. I am the and story. I can be all of those things. That's why striving for harmony is so important. I'm not a fan of balance. I think that's always yin and yang. That's where friction happens. But I do think if you start to get clear on what you want, and I will tell you this, it's not a job title. It's not a salary. It's not a picket fence. You got to go beyond that. And if you can get clear on it and start thinking, this is what it looks like when I want to play and love my life, you start to move towards genius. And you start to be calling in the things in life that open the door. And it's true that people will help you, but they don't want to say, go find me a job or go find me a man or a wife or a partner, or whatever it is that you think is the thing that is going to make your life perfect. Instead, if you could say, I want an opportunity that looks and feels like this, they can look out for it. And interestingly enough, that's what happened in my storyline, because I knew I'd be an entrepreneur. I didn't know what it would look like, but I had obviously left enough rabbit clues or seeds in the sand that someone in my international network dropped me an email on LinkedIn and said, you want to take a look at a business? Like on Wednesday, that was not my agenda, but I planted the seed, knew where I was going. I told her what opportunity looked like for me 10 years ago. And she said, I think this could be it. Do you want to have a conversation? And I was like, okay, sure. Curiosity is so important in life. And so I think when you look at that, you've got to get clear, what do you actually want in life? And to recognize you have 100% permission to define success for yourself, and you get to change it along the way. That's the constant evolution that we are all here for. Because at the end of your life, I really knew, and I'm sure your audience is the same, I didn't want to get to the end and think, I wish I had. I was prepared to go after the vision board, not just do it, see it. I wanted to live it. And none of it was going to happen if I stayed in my comfort zone and if I lived by someone else's definition of success. Because those big dreams weren't definition of success by other people. They're like, oh, that's too big. Girls don't do those things. I'm like, watch me.
Yeah. And what I love is that you just have that risk, like you said, and you didn't know on a Wednesday that you would wake up and have that and follow the curiosity and jump in. And you just jump in and you are ready to go with the flow. You're not waiting to line up all the ducks in a row before you take action. You take action when you see the possibility and go with the flow.
Yeah. The thing you got to remember is if it's possible for you. And I will tell you that there's this inner strength that I credit my parents for this, but I will tell you this, and this is something I tell every client, I tell every girlfriend of mine, I tell everyone who matters to me in my life. The only person who ever has your back is you. It's not to say that you don't have great community, but at the end of the day, all my big decisions in life have been me looking at me in the mirror, not for vanity's sake, but do I see you? And when my opportunity and conversation with this person came on the Wednesday, my life was crazy. There's no perfect time to do anything. So don't wait for perfection and don't wait for the how. The how comes later. I could see possibility, but I was getting married. I was blending families. I was moving house. I had a new job. I had a million reasons to say no. But the one was, I could figure this out for myself. And I almost hesitated to say yes. So it's not like I have this, Teflon superwoman inner core. I just thought, not now. It's too much. It's too everything. And then I got over myself because I thought, well, nobody's defining how this works for you. You are. This is your business. Nobody's going to tell you to show up 5 days a week. No one's going to do the work for you, but you have this incredible potential to do it for yourself. And it wasn't a money question, because honestly, when you look at betting on your future, money's never the issue. Fear is. And so I was like, it's not even money. This is absurd. I've spent money on so many things in my life, like going to Dubai, doing fun things that I couldn't believe I was hesitating and then justifying it was like, well, I don't have the money. It's like, it was absurd. So I got over myself. I said, you're being absurd, Christine. And I swanned into the kitchen the next morning and said to my husband, by the way, or my soon to be husband, by the way, I started a business. And he's like, should we have had a conversation about that? I was like, it didn't occur to me. How ironic. It did not occur to me to talk it through with him. That's partly because I've been single all of my life before that, probably. But he's like, it's, we're getting married. It's probably a conversation we should have. And I said, well, I'm doing this for me. And it sort of shut down the conversation. He's like, okay, I'm this great, amazing man in my life. He's like, okay, well, what does that mean for us? And I'm like, I will commit 1 hour a day, because our kids were still very, they were teenagers and busy in sports and things. So I'll commit 1 hour a day when you guys want to watch Friends for the millionth time, and I'll go run my business. And that's how it started. Possibility, the confidence to say, I will figure it out. There's no expectations of what it will look like, but possibility is there. And if that's ever where you stand in your life, just jump. You can build your wings on the way down.
Exactly.
And there will be somebody to help you.
Exactly. That's always the case. It's more than anything else. It's the fear. And if you get over the fear, you're going to jump and you will find that there's a bridge below your feet. Mm-hmm. You don't even need wings, right? So
it's true.
I wanted to ask you this. You said that there are 10 questions that you always ask yourself when you're reinventing yourself. Would you like to share those?
Yeah, I can certainly share them. So, one of the most important things is really getting, I would say, like the whole technicolor of what it is that your day looks like. So some of the questions that you're going to be asking yourself is, what do I want to do? And I don't mean job title. And I said, I don't mean thinking about the world around you. I want to be thinking like, how does the perfect day look like? Like, what are you wearing? Where are you? Who are you playing with? What kind of work are you doing? Are you working independently? Are you working with other people? I want to know, like, how many hours do you want to work? I want to know, what does the rhythm of the day look like? How are you making impact in your day? And it's really about those kinds of questions, because when you strip it back, not about job title, not about expectation, you're like, I want to work in yoga wear 3 days a week. That's what I want to do. Well, then go do that. You can. If it's, I want to work with my hands instead of standing in my feet, or I want to be outside and instead of an office, or, I want to be able to take 5 months off in the year. There is no reason you can't, other than your own belief that somebody else will judge you for it. Nobody else's opinion will ever pay your bills. And nobody else's opinion really makes you happy. That's why your own reflection in the mirror is so important. So don't be afraid to look at them. It does take growth to be able to look at yourself. But it's questions like that I say to people, it's so important that you do the exercise. And I do it pretty regularly, a couple times a year, so that I go and figure out, this is what opportunity looks like. Because when I get clear on the touch, the feel, the rhythm, the who, the what, the how, interestingly enough, I start to see opportunities in my life that match that in packages I never would suspect. So that's exactly what happened when my first business came to me, because I knew I would do something. I never imagined it would be in health and wellness. I never imagined it would be because someone in my network in London, England would reach out to me when I was in Canada at the time and say, do you want to have a conversation by Zoom? I would have said no. I almost said no. And then the difference in that moment between the Wednesday and the Friday was that I went back to my list. What do I want opportunity to look like? And I went, holy Dinah, this is it. Strip out the package, strip out the label, strip out what you thought it needed to look like. And that's why I was all in a heartbeat. Because I thought, this is a vehicle. I don't know where it will lead yet. I never imagined it would lead to my second business and the coaching that I do today. But if I hadn't done that exercise, I would have judged it and walked away. And so it's such an important thing. And I said, you can download the resource. It's amazing, but it's 10 simple questions. It's also the ones I feature in an upcoming book that I'm part of, because this is, what does you want your future to look like? Not what you don't want it to look like. What do you do want it to look like? So get a pen and paper answer every question, and then look back at your answers and say, is that my voice? Or is it somebody else's opinion of how I should live my life? And if it's somebody else's opinion, I would challenge you to put a giant strike through it or an X, crumple it up, throw it away, and try again. Because it's really important to find your voice. The world needs your voice. And when you find your voice in business and in life, you create incredible ripples of change. Be the person, be the leader that you wanted in your life. Because guess what? Somebody needs you to be that. And that's what I just think that's the impact I get so excited about. That's when I know I'm in my zone of genius, because I'm like, we need this and we can. It's so much fun, to watch this. It'll never be me. To, wow, that's possible for me. To, I can do that. I am doing that. It's an amazing journey, and I want everybody to have it, because you can.
Yeah, this was exactly, as you were talking, I could just connect with this. So I, started asking this question, what would I like to create my life as? And I would just be in wonder with this question, and, I would just allow myself to daydream, didn't really fix on things and stuff like that. And what happened was I was traveling to India. And since I was traveling to India, I reached out to a friend and I said, hey, you know what, I'm coming. Can we do a few workshops? And I knew she was connected to the media. So I said, can you connect me to the media so that we can get word out about the workshop? So when I reached the town, she said to me, you know what, one of my friends, he's starting a TV channel, and he'll send someone over to interview you. So this guy, he came over and he interviewed me, and he had a cough and cold, and I do healing, right? So I said, can I do some healing for you? He said, sure. And so I did healing for him, and he got better. And so he called up his boss. So his boss came and met me, and he said, you know what, we're going to start a channel and we need a show on spirituality. Would you like to host it? I almost fell off my chair. It was that, because I had been asking that question, what would I like to create my life as? And whatever that felt like, it matched, what he was asking. And so
it's all there.
It's
all the possibilities are there. And that's it. I think it's what I love in your story is you had the courage to lean in and say, can I help you? Can I be of service? Because that's really interesting. I think I always say one of the reasons why people don't manifest or don't see what's possible for them is because of the limits that we have in our own judgments. But the interesting thing is it's all there. If you can imagine it, it can happen. The interesting thing, the reason why it doesn't is because you keep confusing us. You keep confusing the universe. I call it the hokey pokey. You're one step in, you're one step out, you're one step in, you're shaking all about. I'm like, stop the hokey pokey.
Just jump.
And then suddenly it's like, I want it to look like this. I know I can add value here. Think about the value, think about impact. Guess what? The next domino will fall. And if you just have the courage to show up for the first domino and trust yourself to learn in the experience, amazing things happen. And when someone says, imagine if, I want you to think and challenge yourself to not go ... a disaster. Just go, imagine if ... this turned out better than I imagined, or this led me to what was needed, or how I could contribute, or how I could make a difference. And when you lean into the latter, the energy flow is different. And the universe is about energy. So do you love your life? And lots of us don't. We live lives of quiet desperation, but when you are around somebody who energetically is ingenious or is loving the choices they make, don't ever assume it's easy, because there's still effort, but it doesn't have to be hard. And if you know you're on the right track, I always say to my clients, are you prepared for this to be easier? Because you're making it harder. Like I always think business is not as complicated as we made it. That's why I'm very successful as a business coach, because I'm like, there's foundations we need to scale. Shiny objects are just there, they're distractions. But the world needs what you've got. And I heard this yesterday, so this will be right in line with you. Someone said, when you're introducing yourself in the world, Doesn't matter whether it's a networking event or we meet on a screen for the first time. It's like, what if you asked and led with this? My life's purpose is. That will call the right people towards you. I want my legacy to be. That really comes down to genius. And I always joke to people, because I've traveled a lot, as we said before, I wanted my legacy to be the fact that I created my own version of the United Nations. I've got friends all over the world. I have a really eclectic group of people, and I love that. I cultivate that. I am intentional with that. I'm like, tell me what it's like for you in your world and what your dreams are. How do I help you get them?
So you said that you've lived in 30 cities. Mm-hmm. And so, was this life also coming out of the 10 questions you kind of asked yourself, that this is how I would like my life to look like?
Yeah, because I never saw myself as in one place. So it certainly was, that constant reinvention, and reinvention more from evolution point of view. I always say to people, if you feel stuck, it's because you've stopped evolving. You're not a tree. Move. I don't mean, for me, which meant move locations, but for many people, it means, move in different ways. And for me, it was a lot about like, what do I want to spend my day? I'm like, well, I want to be able to spend my day not subscribing by time by other people's measures. So it wasn't a 9 to 5 that I was looking for. It was, I want to set my own agenda. I want to live in the following places. I want my rhythm of my day to mean I get up early in the morning. I do a miracle morning. I would walk with my dog, have breakfast with my husband. He might golf in the morning. I might, work with some clients during the day. We meet, we entertain. It is so clear in my mind how I want my life to be. I feel I live it today. In elements, I know I'm striving to get there towards what it is, but it really came down to exactly that. What is it that I would spend my time doing? Who's in the picture? How am I dressed? Where? I can feel the sunshine. I can see the family gatherings. And that's when you always say, start with why. Your why is not superficial. It's the heart. What does your heart call for? Because people say to me all the time, I don't know what I want. Christine, that's a really hard question. It's not a hard question. Your heart doesn't ever stop knowing what it wants. You just are trying to ignore it. You think you aren't hearing it. But if we just spend a little bit of time talking.
Yeah, it's covered by, all the, I should be having this kind of a life, And so when you kind of start peeling off those layers, and you start to actually see what you really want.
And you do, and it's simpler. That's the thing. Like, the universe is amazing, but simple. And so if you've made it really complicated, yes, I should do this, I should do that. It's not okay to do this. And that's, again, the fear of judgment, which is one of the biggest things that holds us back. It is about going, actually, and that's one of the things I coach a lot on, is that real piece of clarity, so that you can gain the confidence. Because I said, you might have to whisper to me because I can hear it. And then I say, this is what I hear from you. People are like, wow, I see her inside. She's still there. I said, she's still there. She knows what she wants. The reason you're even talking to me is because she's a voice that you can't quiet anymore. But once you whisper it, we need to build up the confidence. We need to build the foundation so that you can start to own that voice. Because to me, when I think about the growth work, I think about the root of the tree. Put your feet solidly on the ground. You can bend and sway in the wind, but you're solid in your who. And when you are, that's really the genius bit. That's, I know what I am. And I don't want to live by your labels. I don't need to live by your permission. And at the same time, that takes time. There's a lot of constant, I say the hardest 6 inches of business is the 6 inches in your head. There's a lot of constant moment of, should I do this? And every time it happens, I was in a moment spinning myself that way pretty recently. And I was like, you have done this to yourself. And you know that this isn't sustainable and it doesn't feel great. So get out of the crazy. And I went back to delist, declutter, refocus. What do I want out of life? And I just wrote it out. It'll come out this morning in my community, and I will blog post it in a couple of weeks. Stop majoring in minor things.
I love it. Stop majoring in minor things. I just love it.
I'm like, I have had some family stuff going on recently. I'm like, family's number one, business is number two. Unsubscribe to a whole bunch of newsletters, declutter a number of things, book time for myself that is not going to be filled with stuff, but things I need to spend time with myself. So I can go back to my list and probably I will get out those 10 questions and go, where am I now? I haven't done the exercise in 6 months. Am I still visioning the right things? Am I doing the things in my day-to-day that lead me to my dream? And am I putting effort on the right things that will make it a guaranteed result? And adjust. And then seek support. Because I think one of the things when you're on that journey of transformation is consistency is hard for all of us. Like there's not a person on the planet who isn't who's consistent with something. Like it is hard, but the way you fix consistency is actually thinking about how do I be more accountable and what level of accountability do I need? Because you can start by saying, yeah, I'm going to take free information. The land of Google will help you do an enormous amount of things in your life, but there's no accountability if you're searching for free information. And you have no way to audit if that free information is valid, right? The right information are going to give you what you need. But then you can go, well, I'm going to take a course or commit to some kind of program. And that can give you a low level of accountability. It's certainly better than something free where you didn't have to put any effort in. But are you a person who leans and sits in the front row or someone who sits in the back row? If you are someone who sits in the front row, groups will help you, programs will help you. But if you sit in the back row, you don't get as much support as you need and you can fall off the goal line quickly. And if you do, you also give yourself a free pass of, I knew it wouldn't work. So if that's you, go, oh, I need a better level of accountability. And then you can go into things where you are more visible. That might be a smaller group. It might be more one-to-one support. It might be, getting really clear that you must be visible with your actions. And when you get to high visibility, your consistency, I will tell you, follows along. So when my clients are working with me or I'm working in my life, I'm like, what's my level of accountability? Is it needing to go up a step? Sometimes the answer is yes. Sometimes the answer is no. But you need to know yourself that way because that will really help you find the small bits of courage that move you towards the vision, move you towards, oh, so this is what it's supposed to feel like. And as you take those steps, you go, how does this feel? Uncomfortable. But interestingly enough, the more steps you take, when you look back, you see how far you've come. And go, that didn't freak me out anymore. And that's why community is so important. I know you and I met in a community of women who wanted to support other women. Reach out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love it. And also, commit. And if you fall off, recommit. And if you fall off, recommit, because there is no such thing as commit one and done. It's
so true. It's true, actually. And I always say to people, you need to have commitment past convenience.
Exactly.
That's a big one because, we can say, I'm going to commit to anything, whether it's, your financial goals, your health goals, your relationship goals. But when the moments get sticky, it's easy to fall off. And it does. We are human. Don't beat yourself up about it, but also reevaluate. Did I really commit to this? Do I really want it? And am I prepared to go past the convenience? If you're not prepared to go past convenience, and you're constantly falling off, I would say, again, once that same thing, go back. What's your accountability? And get back on. Find a way to step up accountability if you are finding yourself constantly in that. Because if you are on and off, you're hokey-pokeying your business, life, goals, relationships. And then you need to be honest. Do you really want that? Because maybe that's also part of the problem. You think you should, but you really don't.
Absolutely. So thank you so much, Christine. This was such a wonderful conversation, and I'm absolutely going to get your resource and get those 10 questions and sit right on them today. And
love it.
Yeah, absolutely. So how do people connect with you?
Yeah, so I would direct you to the center of everything. So it's my website. It's called my name, ChristineCampbellRapin.com. My last name is spelled R-A-P-I-N. And you will find a whole bunch of resources on there. Okay, you're going to find that downloadable, which is Visualize Your Future right on the homepage. So download it, use it. It's a PDF you can go back and revisit multiple times. I do lots of free events. So workshops intended to help you build the tools that you need. And when I always say, yes, through the lens of business, but everything you do in business helps you with life. So check out the events tab, learn about what I do, but also come join my community. This is a free community because I know on the journey, you might not have a good cheering squad. Not everybody in life does, but that doesn't mean that you do not make the leap. So if you need a home, I always say, come sit until you're ready to stand. You can join the community, Chasing Dreams, Making a Positive Impact, again, right on the homepage. We'd love to have you. You can introduce yourself, ask for support, be inspired, and generally know that there's a whole bunch of crazy people just like you. And we can't wait to meet you.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much once again, Christine. And thank you so much for listening, you guys. Until next time, live your life in the boundless realm of your genius. I'm Nilofer, and I'll see you next week. Bye.